All right, yeah, sorry guys.
No,
Bookie showed up that I owed money to.
No,
It
you're good.
wasn't a pretty sight.
You're fine. You're fine. All right, we're
Yeah,
ready.
no, we got bad weather over here, so it knocked me out. But I think we should be okay.
Okay, here we go. We might as well move it. All right, Mr. Tom, would you like to begin?
Yep.
Where's this going?
This is Friday.
Oh,
show.
start. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
here we go. 3, 2.
Welcome to A Corporate Tom with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
Couple things. We have our Bad at Business Beer Fest coming up in November. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man.
It's Bad at Business Beer Fest on Saturday, then the Sanford Sofa races on Sunday, Sofas and Suds. Both events are free. The Bad at Business Beer Fest is going to be completely free like it always is. You get a sample cup. We're going to have tons of breweries and food trucks and a bunch of our advertising partners out there.
Friends and vendors, friends of the show.
And we booked the band that played our after party at Tuffy's.
Yeah, Silver Lining.
Yeah, who is a great 90s
They're killer.
cover band.
They're just a fun. We wanted. We always try to look for a band. Not that
I shouldn't even call them a 90s cover band because but they do play 90s covers,
like
but they do it really well.
Yeah, they're really fun. They do like medleys and they're really high energy. And we just want you guys to come out there and have a really great time.
Yep. And again, it's the weekend before Thanksgiving.
We're also live on Twitch and YouTube right now, and it really helps us out if you'd like and subscribe on both. If you're a Twitch person, just search at Tom and Dan Live, or YouTube, same thing, at Tom and Dan Live.
So football is about to start, and I figured we'd catch up with our good friend, the Sharp Square.
Oh, we just lost him.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, God, the weather's been bad.
Yeah, we just lost him.
Yeah. A little behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Jeff is zooming in, and then it's storming where he's at.
It's bad.
So we keep getting on and off.
We've been getting the standard afternoon, the little where it's like you look at the map, because I have the map. I don't know if you noticed, but over here on my little tidbit thing, I have a weather map that'll pop up, and it like shows what's happening. And every afternoon, it will show without fail a giant activity blob of storm.
Yeah.
But here's the weird thing about Florida: if you're not a true Floridian, that doesn't mean anything. You could literally have the storm blob over you, and it'd be dry as a bone. Or you could have it over you, and it could be Cat 5. It doesn't matter. Like, just because there's activity doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get wet or lightning or whatever. That's just Florida. Here's another thing. My daughter doesn't understand this at all. I'm virtually certain that my daughter wants to move from Florida because of storms. She's just not into them. Doesn't like them. Yeah, I think she got a little storm anxiety. Not her thing. Does not like them. Oh, I got him. I got her. I got him back. All right, let's go back to Jeff. See if we can. There you are, buddy.
You good, Jeff?
Hurry, go.
All right, what do you got for us? So Jeff contacted me and said, hey, I got some things I'd like to share with your audience. Of course, he does a podcast called The Sharp Square about NFL betting. And me and Jeff constantly throughout the year are texting each other about bets and stuff. It's our dad hobby.
You know what I find the most intriguing about this is that you talk to him a lot, but it's literally almost like a relationship. It's almost like the relationship your sons have with their friends on Roblox. It's a virtual relationship. Like, you don't really see Jeff very often. We've met him like twice. But like you talk to him a lot, but it's very much a virtual relationship.
Yeah, no. And that's
kind of
probably what is the future of human relationships are going to be mostly virtual. I bet. Like, my kids talk to their friends virtually more than in person.
And I'm addicted to cam girls.
So, Jeff, let's talk NFL betting. What do you got for us?
It's just about that time of year where the biggest thing I'm doing right now is just paying attention to all of the hype. More importantly, the overhype, to kind of figure out which teams are going to be bet on teams or which teams I'm kind of looking to fade early. I've only placed one bet so far. Actually, I placed two. But one of them I did is I took a season win total under on the Chicago Bears because I think between Caleb Williams being the number one pick and them being on Hard Knocks, just the hype on the Bears is so high. Like, people are ready for the 85 Bears to come back around. And when
Super Bowl
everybody's
shuffle.
on board, the thing the gamblers like us got to do, we got to be contrarian and go against it. So that was the first bet I placed of the year, and it felt good to get my hand to stop shaking by placing that first wager.
Yeah.
I do like that bet, Jeff, and you're right. When everybody is hyping a team, that drives the price up, and it's the perfect time to short that.
As the novice here, but a genius in short. Would it, like, what about Bo Nix? Is because
in Denver?
But everything is so hype right now. Like, every story this morning, because I always, before I know we're going to do this, I just go and I type in football, and I want to see what the top headline is. And 6 out of the top 10 sports stories of NFL are Sean Payton, Bo Nix. Should that lead me to believe that he's not going to be quite as good as they're, because right now they're saying he's the savior, right?
Well, that is inflating the line. You know, that good plays into the hype. The problem is Denver's season win total is still pretty low. It's probably getting juiced to the over because of the Bo Nix hype. And I think a lot of it is just people surprised that Bo Nix is starting. He's the first rookie QB to start since John Elway in the 80s or something.
Yeah.
You know, some stat like that.
It's an insane stat.
And but with all these rookie QBs, including like Jeff's point with Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears roster is stacked crazy. They have a bunch of superstars on the roster, which causes the hype. And mix that with Hard Knocks. The one thing that I saw that really leads me towards Jeff's bet is when I was watching Hard Knocks, I forget that, like, Caleb Williams hasn't even practiced with the entire team that many times. Like, he was like, hey, we had 9 practices so far. And I'm like, 9? Like, he's only, I mean, this was a couple weeks ago, but, like, you know, even a couple weeks ago, he's only practiced with the team like 9 times.
Yeah, it's not a lot of familiarity.
And this even plays in more, like, the NFL over the years has decreased the practices, especially the pads on practice and any sort of hits. That keeps decreasing every year. It seemingly gets lower and lower. So, Jeff, let me ask you about this, because there's been a lot of gamblers talking about.
Yeah, it's important that we let Jeff talk so I know he's not frozen.
Sorry, Jeff.
So at some point he has to say something, because I keep looking at it.
Get
I'm
me
like,
going.
Is he frozen? Is he like? I know you're excited. I'm happy. I'm happy.
You get me going with this stuff, and I want to talk about
We're
it.
stoked.
So, Jeff, let me ask you this. So, a lot of people believe, a lot of sharp people believe the scoring in the NFL is going to go up because of the new kickoff rule. The hip drop tackle is going to, you know, it has to make some sort of difference.
You want some facts? Yeah. They did it in Madden. So when you play Madden, you can't play the old style kickoff. You have to play the new kickoff.
Yeah.
My scoring is way up.
And even in the small data that they have from preseason, a lot of teams are getting the ball on like the 25, between the 25 and 30. It's like
27.
5. Yeah. It's
every single time, at least that's a bad one. At least the 27.
Yeah. So everybody's like, oh, this is going to cause a lot of overs, right? And because this has not been factored in and it needs to be baked into the line as they're using the old. But the opposite of that is that all these offenses, and no one's playing their starters in preseason, and these practices, no one's hitting each other. Everybody's also saying that all the offenses are going to start off slow. We've seen in preseason lower scoring games so far. And so now you got this, and this is the puzzle that I like figuring out. You got this one side, your offenses are going to start slow, right? And on the other side, they're supposed to be higher scoring. So what do you do with that? Have you thought about that, Jeff?
Yeah, have you ever seen The Princess Bride, where Vizzini is sitting there trying to pick which glass of the drink he's gonna drink, and he clearly cannot choose the drink in front of me? I feel like, Tom, you could do that with almost every bet. You're right. Better field position obviously is going to put teams who get the ball first in a better position to score. But if I was going to push back on that, what I would say is, if you come out and you start with better field position, as we kind of agree teams are going to do with this new kickoff rule, if you go 3 and out on your first series, or even if you get a first down and then have to punt, you're going to pin the other team back further than you may have pinned them back if you went 3 and out, say, to start from your own 20-yard line. So based on the first possession, if you're going against a really good defensive team, I might see where the under could actually gain a little bit of edge, because once you punt that ball and pin them back, now it becomes more difficult for that other team to score. But you never know. You could shank a punt, so I clearly cannot choose the bet in front of me.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That especially if offenses are starting off slow, most likely they will go 3 and out, but they will have a better punting distance to pin the other team back. Yeah. So you're right.
It changes a lot of factors. It just kind of dominoes them.
So another thing that I like to pat myself on the back with, and I don't know if you jumped on this season win total, but I've been talking about the Steelers for months now. I think I brought it up with EJ at the beginning of the summer, and no one else. You brought it up with
damn near any sports person. You brought it up with Cabin or Matt. You brought it up with EJ.
And Daniel, you've often asked me why I do this. I got such fulfillment out of now, because guess what? As soon as it's all Colin Cowherd, he's like, I'm betting against the Steelers.
He did say that.
Because he's like, this situation.
He's not the only one either. There's other people saying.
And now the mainstream media's got it, but it's also juiced the lineup to like the under 8.5 is minus 140 now, and is going up. But I got it at minus 120, and that's how you win, right? Yeah. And so I only bet I think I got like $250 or $300 because I kept every time I'd be like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. I'm under. But I still, that's my favorite bet of the entire season is the Steelers season win total under right now, because this Russell Wilson, Justin Fields experiment is not going to work. They're already S-ing on Russell Wilson, and it hasn't even nothing started yet.
I haven't even seen him in a uniform yet, and they're already crapping all over him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one photo of him.
Other coaches are saying you should trade Russell Wilson and try to get Ryan Tannehill. They think Ryan.
Who said that?
Some old coach I saw. But
that'd be awesome.
But once the media is getting a hold of it, it's like now it's just driving the price crazy. But what do you think about that bet, Jeff?
This might make me square, but every single year the Steelers win total is set that they're going to finish at under 500, and every single year Mike Tomlin is the coach, they finish over 500. Look, I'm not saying Russell Wilson and his high knees are lighting the world on fire, but Mr. Sierra there, one thing he doesn't do is turn over the football. And Arthur Smith is the new OC there in Pittsburgh. Dan, you'll remember Arthur Smith from Atlanta. He almost had 6 coronaries a game watching Marcus Mariota or Ritter, whoever it was, turn the ball over. So I think he can manage the offense.
But he loves tight ends. He loves throwing to tight ends.
Maybe they use Justin Fields kind of like a relief pitcher or something to just come in there and spark the offense every now and again. You're not replacing Ben Roethlisberger or Terry Bradshaw. You're replacing Pickett or whoever's playing quarterback for the Steelers. So I could see things being very similar as they are every year in Pittsburgh. I think people are overhyping how important the quarterback is in Pittsburgh, because you got to compare it to what you came from. And what they've had in the past couple years when they've won 9 or 10 games has been pretty good. Best thing going for you in that bet, Tom, I would say, is that division is stacked. And anytime you're in a stacked division, wins can be hard to come by. Remember, you're playing 6 games in division every year. So Pittsburgh could be on the wrong side of those coin flip games. All of a sudden, you sneak in your under and cash a bet. But I would never go against Mike Tomlin having a winning season. That's just me.
No, that is square. Square. Because
what are being square?
Do you think he's magic? Is that where you're like, I'm not going to be? He's some sort of got supernatural powers and never
Matt,
goes under 500.
Our friend Matt
Ridiculous.
does think he's magic.
Yeah, well, it's not magic.
And a lot of Pittsburgh fans do think that Tomlin is magic.
Well, guess what?
Or he's good at his job and just wins a lot of games, which doesn't involve any hocus pocus whatsoever.
Let's go novice, non-betting question from Daniel. Is there a prop bet about which team will play a regular season game with the stupid fluffy hat you put on your helmet.
Oh,
is there a prop bet on which team
the
will
concussion
have
cap or
who's
whatever?
going to have the first primetime game?
I saw it in preseason. You saw it where they make it look like the helmet.
Yeah, and it looks really goofy. It looks so
yeah.
funny. I love it.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the first team to rock that?
I bet you there's at least a couple linemen, because it's the linemen that really they just continually take
It's just brutal.
Hits after hits.
It's too much.
And if some guys out there is like, listen, I've got a couple more years, and I don't want.
I'd like to be able to talk to my children.
Yeah. Which they've overblown a lot of the CTE things, where everything's CTE. It's like, oh, look at the CTE. They just call it everything. It's like there's other problems people have. But I bet you we see at least one lineman on every team wear it.
I think everybody should wear it. And then it just reminds me of like when you had the big head code for NBA Jam. Never mind. Okay, sorry. Continue with the real stuff.
No, I remember you're sitting there playing with Dominique Wilkins with the giant head.
Mega head.
Boom shakalaka, baby.
Yeah. Exactly. I used to love that game. What else are you guys betting on this year?
Well, I mean,
did you have any other bets that you got, like, what you thought was, a little bit of something maybe you shouldn't have just because you got in there early?
Well, it's all about taking the right number. And again, like right now, everybody can legally, and it's legally everywhere, but you can go onto a Hard Rock app and you can get the Hard Rock Sportsbook app on your phone. You put in your credit card and you have money. But I'm telling you, the only way to even have a possibility of winning is to at least get a couple more apps, so that you can look at the different lines, because they are different. And the Hard Rock app may give you a 2.5, and you may be able to get a 3 somewhere else, and that makes a gigantic difference. That's the difference between winning and losing. So just pick up a Bovada, pick up any of these offshore apps. It's completely legal. There is a little more steps you have to put in, like we've talked about,
it takes a second,
with Bitcoin or whatever. But there are YouTube videos explaining how to do it and how to.
I'm locked out of mine, and I lost my Bitcoin. Like, I don't know how to
I'll get it back.
I lost the password of my wallet, and I'm just
There are other offshore sites. I think MyBookie or some of those other ones.
Oh, I think Jeff got struck by lightning.
That is, yeah.
Look at him.
Jeff, are you frozen? Yeah, you might be frozen.
Oh man, look at that. That's like the eyes of a serial killer, right? Like if I didn't know Jeff, and then like it was like, that channel, it's like Omega channel where you can just like live cam with strangers.
Yeah.
And then if I like logged in, and then this is the face that popped up, this face right here, I'd be like, oh my God, look at that guy.
I will tell, like, and most people are just like out there to place a wager so that the game they're watching could be a little more fun, right?
You're injecting a little more excitement into
So,
it.
like, let's say, Daniel, you're watching, you have 3 hours to watch a full Atlanta game,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so you're excited about it. But so more than just you wanting them to win, you want to put some money on it, right?
Okay.
You want to put $50 on it, right?
Like, that's a lot.
And that is probably now, but here's the thing. It depends on what will make you excited. Could $20 make you excited?
Yeah, 20 would work for
If that
me.
doesn't move the needle, then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
I'm bad with money. 20 is good.
Because if you're doing it by the book, Kelly criteria says 1% of your bankroll.
Or one unit.
1 unit is 1% or 2% of your
you've
bankroll.
taught me this part.
But that's for that's the problem. Like a lot of these people on podcasts and any betting content out there,
or quote unquote, expert.
They're teaching you the way experts do it, or professionals, right? And it's like you're talking to a bunch of people that are just effing around.
Yeah,
What I'm saying? Like very few of the audience of these are ever going, like almost zero are ever going to become professional. They may want to mimic what they see professionals do.
Make it easy and fun and introductory.
So then if you're never going to like, hey, I don't want to do any of this nonsense Tom's talking about because I'm just in it to enhance my experience of a game, right? at least you can enhance it in the best probable way for yourself.
Yeah.
Which would be get 2 sports books, like I said, Hard Rock and Bovada, or any of the online
just shop
whatever.
them against.
And then just be like, all right, I'm gonna bet on Atlanta. I'm never gonna bet against them because I want to root for them, right?
Right.
And then go on both sportsbook apps and then see which one has the better odds. Like even if it's Atlanta minus 3, right? Well, one may have minus 120 and may want to have minus 110. Take the minus 110. It's just like it's 10 cents. And I know it doesn't seem big, but it's just like that small advantage will help you. I mean, if you're betting like that, you're most likely not going to win over time, but at least maybe you'll break even over time.
That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying? And then don't bet parlays. Quit doing it. Because at least you just bet, like, take the line and then bet
that
Atlanta.
Makes more sense to me.
Or money line just to win, and then take the best odds that you can, and then just do that, because at least it's a coin flip at that point. You start getting into like 2 or 3 or 4 leg parlays, and your odds of winning those are so astronomical. Now you're playing scratch off tickets again.
What do you think, Jeff? What are your thoughts?
I just like that, like a lightning bolt totally took me out for like 15 minutes. And Tom's question just kept going without a beat.
It was fine. We were able to like fade you out and fade you back in like perfectly.
Yeah, parlays are tough because people just love the concept of, I'm going to bet a tiny bit of money to win a huge, windfall. But if it was actually that easy and it worked that way, then professionals would play parlays as well.
Tracy in our Twitch chat room, sorry, Jeff, says that her husband won another parlay. Remember he won one a while ago?
Yeah, no, she texted me about it. And to that, I tell Tracy, he's not telling you all the ones he lost.
Right.
And it's against my religion to believe that your husband is just winning all these 8-leg parlays, like winning, like, I just won $1,100 off a $8 bet. That does not happen.
No.
It did happen, I will admit, but you have bet way, way more than you have won. It has to. The math says so. It's impossible to beat it.
I get you.
There are a couple places where you can play the parlay strategically. One of them would be a correlated parlay.
Yeah.
So let's say like the Giants are playing the Chiefs. Now, Brian Dable, the coach of the Giants, knows the last thing in the world he wants to do with Daniel Jones under center is get in some kind of shootout where you're playing an arena football game.
Right.
So what he's going to want to do is run the ball, slow the game down, try to play really good defense, take the game into the fourth quarter, and then, cross his fingers. But because it's a Kansas City game, the total will be high because people love to bet the Chiefs and over. So if you liked the Giants to win that game or even just cover the spread, your thinking would be the only way this plays out where the Giants keep this game close is if the game is low scoring. So in that case, the Giants and the line plus the under, those things are sort of correlated together. One has to happen for the other. The other way you could do a parlay, and this doesn't happen all that often, I'm reminded of it though by this terrible weather here. Let's say it's early in the week and you're looking at the weather reports a little later in the year and like a nor'easter is coming through the northeast. You just go and you find every one of those northeast teams playing at home and bet the under and bet them all together, because there's a likelihood that if some sort of snowstorm hits Pittsburgh, it's also going to hit Cincinnati and Cleveland and New England. And then all of a sudden, all of those totals are going to drop later in the week. So you could have a chance. Once again, it's something that's somewhat correlated, but those are really the only times they're strategic. Other than that, like Tom said, you're playing scratch-offs. But every once in a while, man, we're grinding so hard and we're headbutting our, the drywall, trying to get these little bitty edges on the minus 110, minus 115. Sometimes it's fun just to not think about it, throw $5 down on a 3 or 4 game, and, hope you can take the wife out to dinner with it.
Yeah,
well,
there you go.
That goes back to, like, I like to call them scratch-off parlays. If you're, like, just for fun, putting $5 on some unlikely parlay is, because if you win, like, let's say 4 out of the 5 games, that 5th game is super fun to watch, but it also teaches you why they're horrible because you're going to lose the 5th game because you
now understand what you're doing.
Yeah, now you got $1,100 bet riding on this 5th game, and that's way above what you should be betting, and that's the problem with the parlays. Is that if you do happen to win 4 out of 5, that 5th game, there's too much riding on it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, Jeff, like you mentioned, the weather coming in and like, strategies like that. And I think anybody that's into gambling has heard like weather betting and stuff. But it seems like now, because everybody has access to the best technology and a smartphone and weather apps and unlimited technology.
Up to the minute.
That it's really taking a lot of these edges away, and now there's AI betting, and there's these huge groups, multiple groups that are using AI for betting and
huge
technology.
Groups, multiple groups.
Yeah, you're like, well, the big betting groups, they pool their money, and they're the ones that kind of control the lines for the world, really.
Sure.
But as AI gets more and more advanced, and as these betting groups use more and more technology,
are they latching onto AI? That was going to be my question. But are you seeing like the biggest ones kind of say like, we're like better because we use AI
Absolutely,
and we're more reliable? Is that kind of what's their narrative of like why
they
AI
keep quiet.
is better?
Well, a lot of them, the ones that actually making the money, they don't tell anything to anybody.
Right.
Like they're not the ones that are doing these podcasts. Like the professional bettors doing podcasts, those are the guys that they know what they're doing, but they can make more money in media than they can in betting.
Like that guy with the tattoos, the Keno guy. Yeah. That guy's just he knows what he's doing.
He's an influencer.
But he's just an influencer.
Yeah. That is. Jeff, what do you think about that guy? Because I got into a YouTube hole.
He was supposed to be on the show. I booked him. And then he ghosted me.
Have you seen that one with all the tattoos, and he claims to be the best Keno player in the world. He's got a ban from multiple casinos, and he's like, he touts himself as
he says he's not allowed to play it anymore.
World's greatest gambler. But I've looked up that game. There is no way to get an edge in that game, but he also has and other gamblers because they
vouched for him too.
Well, no, they said he did get kicked out of casinos. So I'm like, why would they kick him out of a casino for playing a game? It's like getting kicked out for being too good at roulette. You cannot be too good at roulette. It's like if you're counting cards in blackjack, yes, they'll kick you out. But if you're playing blackjack by the rules, they'll let you play forever. Because the house always has
money in.
Yeah. Have you seen that guy?
I don't. Maybe they think he's like, if you're winning at Keno, people must sort of think in some way that you're cheating, right?
That's what he says.
Do you know the guy lighting up the board in the back? Because that would help.
Yeah, he claims, at least from what I read, and when I got close to booking him, he claimed that they always say he's cheating, and that almost like Penn and Teller's fool us. And how he's not going to tell you what he does.
Yeah.
But he says, I'm absolutely not cheating. I will never cheat. He's like, I just know how to do it. I have the edge. I know how to play this game better than anybody, and I'm the best at it. And they're like, no, you're cheating. We're just going to kick you out.
Yeah, and that could, they're allowed to stop you.
No matter what.
Yeah. And that is the ultimate downer for any sort of sports betting, too, because if you do happen to start winning, the bookies will cut off your account. You know what I'm saying? They won't let you bet anymore. And because you're too good. And that's like, so the only, like, you winning means that you will not be able to play anymore. Like that's no one will get there.
Game.
Yeah. Like if Jeff ever started winning a lot off Hard Rock, they'll cancel. Yeah, they will cancel your account. So
that's the goal.
Or limit you so you can only bet $20 a game.
Yeah, so that's the goal.
I guess that's the goal. It's a sad goal because what are you trying to play for? You can't actually.
You're trying to get better.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
It's just a puzzle.
You're just trying. Yeah, you're just trying to get better.
But back to my original question, Jeff. Do you think we'll get to a point where there's so much technology that a human brain can't even compete, and therefore, like our hobby that we love will be rendered obsolete because we know all the lines are so efficient that because the computers and AI have basically took every edge in every different book away because all the giant conglomerates in sports betting have basically.
Well, there'll be no delay, right? Like everything.
As soon as they release
everything will be real time and automated, so that there's no way to get an edge because the bet is now alive.
The AI
in a weird way
is 100 times, 1,000 times more powerful than a human brain. So it's impossible to compete with it.
Like earlier this week, we had on Peter Funt, Jeff, and he was talking about fantasy football. And one of the things to go on, to kind of pile on to what Tom's saying that kind of is effing out the fantasy football thing to me, when Peter Funt started talking about people playing fantasy football and playing 40,000 active rosters
or
using AI. I'm like, you're playing 40,000 rosters? I'm like, no, I'm out. I'll never do that.
They limit it with like daily fantasy, but it's still up to like 200 a week.
That's too much. It's gross. It gets a little gross.
So you're playing against multiple professionals with 200 rosters apiece.
It'll get bigger because of AI.
And AI doing the whole roster for them and their program. So
gross.
So how the hell?
Like the Temu guys, or they're pulling the packages down.
Me and Jeff gonna even have a chance to win, and then it becomes not fun anymore.
Correct.
So, but that's what, and this is interesting, Jeff. Like DraftKings, did you hear that DraftKings up there, like they have no more minus 110. It's like minus 115 or maybe even 120. I forgot. We don't have it here, so I don't know. But I heard other gamblers talk about it. Like they upped their odds to make it worse for people, which drives out the pros. Yeah, and then leaves the amateurs because
that makes sense.
So you just leave. It's like donkeys don't know, so they'll still play.
Because
so it's for me.
To a recreational bettor, if you see minus 110 and minus 115, you're like, who cares? I don't. I just want the lander to win.
I'm gonna play whatever I'm playing.
You just want you don't care about the 5 cents difference. But a professional's like that 5 cents difference will make me go to another book.
I'm already wanting to opt in. You'll look at it and be like, not worth my time. That's the difference.
Yeah, but to me though. It hurts me because I'm not a professional, but I look at that and I'm like, I don't want to play worse odds.
You know enough to not want to play that.
You're screwing us, and you're screwing us just to try to get the professionals out. But that is like, to me, it's like a greed thing. It's like, you got to take your losses with the pros. And to offer a good service.
I think that's why I can never wrap my brain around putting full effort into this, because at the end of the day, there's some weird, like the banker from Deal or No Deal inside a case, and he is, I'm using him like, metaphorically, is controlling everything, and I'll never beat him. You know what I mean? Like he will. Go ahead.
The market, though, will. As long as there's competition in the market, that will sort of work out the draft things. Like DraftKings could go out of business doing something like that because all it takes is some other book to come out and say, okay, well, we're going to offer minus 105 on every single game. So as long as there's competition and DraftKings doesn't like eat up every other sports books, other books can just offer better numbers. Like there's books out there that'll give you better than 110. They'll never go minus 110. So that's just, again, back to Tom's theory about sort of shopping things around. Back to what you were saying, though, about the AI and is that going to eliminate us from playing? This might just be silly me, being the press secretary on behalf of humans. But one of the things that I look at optimistically is the more and more people rely on AI, the more and more the consensus opinion all goes in one direction. So if you just have that gambling mentality that I'm going to be a little bit contrarian to what everybody's thinking, you can find edges that maybe the computer doesn't think are edges, and you can just start playing in a way that goes against this broad consensus. Because once everybody thinks, oh, the computer's making the number, it's got to be the best number, everyone's going to start copycatting. All the different books are going to use the same numbers. And then if you think you have an edge that isn't part of that algorithm, isn't part of that computer model, you can just play those and possibly start cleaning up because nobody's any the wiser. The second people start thinking about analytics and AI, they just start bowing to this God, like it can't be wrong. The numbers never lie. The computer's always right. And that's just not true, because as much as they might diminish the edges in the numbers, they still don't know the results of the game, at least not yet. So the actuaries, as I call them, which are the final scores of the game, are always going to be a little bit different than that line that is such gospel that's coming from the machine. So, I'm a little bit confident. It might be naive. I kind of look forward to more and more of the sharp bookmakers stepping away and just hitting run on that computer program and just watching themselves get hit by posting some bad numbers because they've just fallen into this trap that the numbers never lie.
And going back to you're right, because other books will offer better odds. But the problem is that the politics involved with each state, Florida only allows Hard Rock as our only, local sports book that's easy.
And that'll be the foreseeable future, right?
Yeah, because they're trying to block out DraftKings and FanDuel from coming to
kind
Florida.
Of a little bit of a mess. I started reading about it, and it's messy.
Yeah, and but what people don't realize is, you are hurting the player by only letting Hard Rock in Florida, right? It's like you let as many people, because competition is better for the consumer. And that's because Hard Rock can set their own lines too, because they're like, we don't have any competition.
Yeah, we're the only one.
Although they do, because of Bovada and all the offshores, but people are skeptical. They're like, I don't want to get into that. I just want to play my one book. And it's like, all right, they're robbing you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jeff, before we call it a day? I know when the season kicks off, you have a lot more information. You garner nothing from preseason, because they're hiding everything.
I thought this preseason was the wimpiest preseason.
Yeah. No one wants to show anything.
It was. I watched it, but for every game I watched, I'm like, I don't know who anybody is. I don't the coaches were barely there. It seemed like just eliminate it then. Just come in game day. Let's just roll it like game one. Boom, you're in. Yeah. That's it.
But the second and third stringers, they get their time.
I don't care about them.
In the sun.
I don't care about them.
No, I don't. No one cares. Yeah. But that's the only reason.
God bless them. It's great. I still think there's value to making the team. I just don't need to watch it on TV.
Yeah, unless you're the 49ers and you let Brock Purdy play because he wants to play. You stupid player. You're letting him possibly hurt himself. That's a
lot of money right there.
Yeah, because he wants to let him practice. And
that's like my daughter when she wanted to do the hula hoop competition before she danced. I'm like, absolutely not.
Also, I heard that a lot of the coaches, you know how they do the dual practices with the other teams? They're using those as the real, because they're not public as much.
Yeah.
And then and they're using those dual practices.
None of ours were open because they're redoing Flowery Branch. The whole thing was closed down.
And so that's where you're getting more of the real than these preseason games.
I believe it.
So they just
preseason games are just exhibitions for people to show up, buy tickets, and drink beer, right?
And some players will make the roster because of it or whatever, but other than that, yes, it's all just BS.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jeff, always a pleasure talking to you. Plug your podcast one more time.
Yeah, it's the Square podcast. And, for anybody that's trying to sort of learn how to gamble and especially learn how to handicap, so many podcasts out there are just people who are trying to be experts, and they're, hammering down their stats and almost telling you, hey, pick this team or else you're dumb. That's not what we're doing. Me and Mike get together. We kind of look at the NFL like a season of reality TV. Yeah. It's got ebbs and flows. There's ups and downs with the characters, which are the teams. And we're just trying to figure out those narratives, those little motivating factors, those unforeseen circumstances. And look, I'll admit, maybe that's a little bit square, but it's a little bit different. And I think nowadays we've talked so much about these numbers being refined that, it's so hard to find an edge. Sometimes you just got to be willing to think outside the box a little bit. And if nothing else, when you listen to me and Mike do the weekly show, we're going to go over a little outside the box way of doing these games. Because it's just getting tougher and tougher. I spent the off season, I did this 10-part series. It's available where the Sharp Score podcast is. It's called The History of the Point Spread. And it goes back to this, older days where basically like one bookmaker in Vegas was making the line and then every other bookie in the country was copying his line. And it was just a different time. And if you won, the bookies would let you play. It was just a little bit of a different time. And now everything is so corporate and, so much on these computer algorithms and things that it's hard to find an edge. So we just really want to help people kind of think on their own, trust their own eyeballs, and come up with the handicaps that make sense. I promise you will at least become a better handicapper or get a better grasp on how to do it on your own, which at the end of the day is what makes this fun. Banging your head into the wall trying to find a 5-cent edge, that's great if you want to be a professional, but if you're just trying to have a little bit of extra fun watching the games, Mike and I's Sharp Square podcast comes out every Thursday. Great way to kind of start looking at things differently.
Awesome, man.
And I will say, it is more fun if you lose slower. And that's really what it's about. Like, if you put in your $200 in the NFL season, it's way more fun if that $200 lasts you at least 3/4 of the season before you have to re-up, rather than you're out of it 2 weeks in, because then you're like, oh, God, my wife's going to bitch if I put in another $200.
But if I get drunk, I go big. If I get drunk, I go big.
And then having and betting in a smarter way will make you lose slower. And
that's the key. Lose slower.
Lose slower, because the VIG is going to eat you eventually.
Yep.
And there's no, you're not going to win long term, but you can.
Lose slower, another great name for a podcast. Vig Newtons, another great name for a podcast.
You'll win sometimes, you'll lose sometimes, whatever. You eventually.
Write that down.
But
you win some, you lose some.
It's more of an enjoyable time with that, instead of losing all your money up front. And then
most of my friends, they're like, I bet $50, I'm out.
Yeah, no, that's what happens. So they're like stars in their eyes. They're like, and then they're like, oh, this is not fun when you're out $200. And
start small, go little bets. Little tiny little bets.
Start with $200, bet $20 a game, and if you listen to Jeff's show, if you know how to gamble, you could make that last the whole season.
There you go, Jeff. Good talking to you, man. Have a great season, and we hope to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you so much, guys. Always great talking to you.
All right, buddy.
See you,
Be good. That is our buddy Jeff.
I like Atlanta this year.
Yeah, you think they'll win the division?
Yes.
That's what Ghost of Manu Bull, what was your line that you scooped up before it changed? Because he got in super early, and I went back to look for his. That's why I was scrolling. I was trying to find what he got.
The only thing that I see that could bite you in the ass is the drama, and this goes back to why I think the Steelers are garbage, is because they drafted Michael Penix.
Penix parked behind Cousins.
Cousins starts off slow, then you're going to have the fan base start chanting Penix. And then, the team doesn't have a relationship with Cousins. And that's the thing. Like, the team is meeting Cousins and Penix at the same time.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
100%.
So, and a lot of the younger guys, Kirk Cousins are a religious nerd weirdo. So, like, they're...
he's like... Did you see the picture of him at the water park?
Yeah,
going down the slide? They all did a day at the water park?
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins coming down a water slide looking like a biggest dork?
Yeah.
He's a dork.
Like, he's not relating to these 23-year-old...
Penix is, though.
Yeah, even though
Penix is definitely more relatable to Bijan.
Yeah.
Those two are probably tight.
But so then you start having some
Drake
of those.
London is probably tighter with Penix.
Some of those problems if Kirk Cousins. So that's the only way you get screwed. But your roster is really good, and if Kirk Cousins can play anywhere near what he was playing last year, you guys will be fine.
We've been picking up these old timer defensive players that are I guess on free agency or something like that. Today we just re-signed AJ Terrell. I thought it was for a lot more money than I would have signed him.
Well, you got that pass rusher from New England and stuff. But that's a good sign. Every year, gamblers look for signs like this, meaning the team's going all in for this year.
They're signing everybody. They're blowing money like crazy.
And so,
I think Blank thinks he's going to die soon.
When you do that, it means we got the roster, we have the chance to make it, and then they start padding the roster, and that's a good sign that they're making a run for it.
Yeah, they are.
So I'd bet Atlanta. I hate betting overs, but I'd bet Atlanta overs.
Interesting. I like that.
Even though at this point in time there's been a lot of hype on them.
We'll see.
So
We'll see.
But anyway.
I hate the hype. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. Have a good Friday. Is there anything else we need to tell people?
No, I think that's it.
Go to the Mo Comedy Jam, mocomedyjam.com. Just go check that website out.
Yeah, it's September 5th. It's a Thursday. Me and Dana are going to be out there.
Yep.
A bunch of good comedians.
Ryan Holmes, Sabrina,
Rue Nafasad,
yeah, David
Ross
Jolly.
McCoy's hosting it. David Jolly's going to be there.
Austin. I was going to say Eckler because we were talking football.
Yeah, come out, get drunk with us, watch them comment, all for a great cause too. And that's the good thing about
it's directly behind me. Austin Kleeman.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Austin.
I didn't even see that.
Yes,
Funny.
I always put Mo stuff behind me, and I change it out whenever he gets new stuff. But yeah, I'm stupid.
When you support a Mo DeWitt event, you know that the money is going all to charity.
100%. He would not have it any other way.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we will see you on Monday.
Sorry if I didn't. I don't know if I lifted enough during.
No. Well, maybe it's one of these things where it's like we're talking only gambling, so it's like.
Are we done? Are we recording anymore?
Yeah. No, we're done.
Guys, hey, thanks for hanging out with us. That was fun. I'm actually quite excited about football. I got to get a new jersey. All right.